Want to know what a real man would tell their lady about love and life? You're in the right place. This is Hello Ladies with Rom Wills. Rom Wills is an author, speaker, and proud father. Grab some wine, sit back, and enjoy.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to my spot. Let the fantasies go. Let the fantasies go. Ladies, and you know, Uncle Rom just going to tell you correctly. And this is one thing I see hurting a lot of women. A lot of women. Those fantasies. You know, there's so many women who've got that Cinderella thing, I would call it. They feel like no matter what they got going on with them, no matter what, no matter how they look, no matter the educational level, no matter how they're built, no matter whatever baggage they got, they can still get that Prince Charming. That's a fantasy, ladies. Because I'm going to just tell y'all the reality. The reality. Even with that thing called hypergamy. The reality. People are generally going to get someone on who is similar to them as far on all levels. On all levels, who's similar to them, to their reality. Like there's a thing called assortative mating, and it's both it's something both on a genetic level and genetic physical level, and also on a social level. On a genetic physical level, assortative mating suggests that a person will get someone who's similar to them physically. That's why if you look at a lot of great couples, they actually look alike and built alike. Yes, of course, we get some instances where you get the very tall man with the very petite woman, or the very big and overweight man with the petite woman, and definitely the overweight woman with the real slim guy. Those are the exceptions. The general rule is people get somebody physically similar to them, and that's just one level. The other thing is men and women, they will get together with somebody who's similar to them socially. Socially. What I mean socially, they practice the same general religious path. They are in the same social class. Because let me use the example of social classes. All people ain't alike. The person's social class influences their behavior. There's a big difference between someone who works in the behavior of someone who works in a 9-to-5 job that's very shaky to begin with versus someone who's a professional who works in a salaried position in a managerial. It's a big difference between someone who had to really scrounge just to get something to eat versus someone who you know can eat at the best restaurants and have the best grocery stores around them. Even the access to medical care, because even if someone of a lower social class has access to some care, through some type of government subsidy or something, it's still not the same as somebody who can get a top-notch medical professional, a doctor or a dentist or something like that. And all of that affects behavior. And when people mate, their behavior has to match the other person. It's that click. It's a person, like the personalities, their personality that is shaped by certain circumstances. All of that has to click. All of that has to click. But see, what you have is you have a number of women, not all women, but a number of women. They in a certain social class. It's not even the major thing, even how they look or anything. That plays a part, but that's not even a major thing. It's just your mindset and everything. That plays a difference, but yet they want someone who is basically in a different social class, got different social behaviors, got different outlook, get different mindset. Like you might have a woman who has a poverty mindset thinking she's going to get some rich man, but that rich man has an abundance mindset. So they just thinking differently. But see, what happens is this with a lot of women I've seen. A lot of y'all had those fantasies that you'll still get that top guy. And this is what I've told women. This is what I told them. I'm telling y'all now. What makes you think you and that top guy going to get along? There's a lot there. I don't care how much money he making. Because when women talk, y'all talking about the money, or he going to behave this way or something. You don't know what he's going to do. Now, if you happen to find somebody of your same social class, if you happen to find somebody who's similar to you physically, and and you click on all those levels, and he just happened to be like top notch, hey, more power to you, good to go. But that's not. But when you want something outside of that, boom. Because like I said, and it really just come down, do you and that other person click? That's the fantasy. Seriously. Like, let's use the example. There's always a lot of talk about women getting that quote-unquote high value man, or that man making six figures. And I would just say this, can you deal with that type of man? Some can, some can't. Because there's a certain personality structure, certain behaviors that go with people making a certain amount of money. Money isn't everything, but it's up there with oxygen. In order to do in this world, if someone needs money, but in order to do certain things, they need certain behaviors and everything. Like, for example, say a woman is a smoker and a drinker, living in a poorer area, and she's used to she's used to like minimum wage jobs and stuff. And she has a certain behavior, certain activities she's like that's based on that, certain places she shop. It would be a fantasy to think some man who not more than just think differently, but this man's making a lot of money. This man looks at stuff differently. He doesn't have economic insecurity or any other type of social insecurity to want to deal with that woman. Even if he thinks she's attractive. Even if she thinks she's attractive. And let's be real. Only a tiny portion of women going to have that level of attraction where they can move up like that. They exist, but come on, we're talking 1% of the population. And it's a fancy to think you can grow out of that and everything going to fit in. Now, the only way you really have a chance, if you're going to be realistic, let me say that word, realistic, you have to upgrade yourself greatly in some cases. Some cases you might have to just change some. But as long as you're realistic, that's why I emphasize that. I emphasize that to men especially. I emphasize that to men, and women have to. Because, ladies, I see a lot of women get in trouble for chasing a fantasy instead of dealing with reality. Because I'm going to tell you what. I guarantee more women would find the right mate if they accepted the reality they were in, or at least accepted enough to actively change it. Now, that's one thing I would highly recommend. If you don't like where you at, instead of fantasizing about some dude to come save your damn self. Or at least move up, change it. And it could be tough work depending on where you're coming from. But the fantasy ain't going to work. Because, ladies, let's be real. Let's be real. And I would ask this. And I'm not going to challenge it. I ain't going to say you lying if someone answers this for me. How many of your friends, or yourself for that matter, have had a fantasy about a certain type of guy and met him? And not just met him, but was in a relationship with him. And especially if you married him. Now, if you did, I'm going to applaud you. Because I don't really know you personally. I'm going to applaud you, but I just want to say. Because seriously, and this is, seriously, even though I'm talking to y'all, I would say this to the men too. How many of you met that fantasy person? Seriously. When people are realistic, I'm going to tell you what, when people are realistic, they're happier because they're dealing with the reality. See, the fantasy, that's that dream and everything, but we got to deal in the real world. And when you're dealing with a mate, you ain't just dealing with the fantasy. You got there might be some stuff you don't like about that mate. You still got to deal with if you're gonna deal with them. You know, or you might, or like say the example of somebody making all this money, 6 figures. You might have to deal with the reality that they're working like 16 hours a day, and they don't have time to do a lot of small stuff. You might have to work with the reality that they have a certain type of personality that might rub you the wrong way. That's reality. Now, I ain't saying don't go for that if you work your way into a position and you can realistically deal with some of those things. But that's all I'm saying, be realistic. All right? So anyway, I want y'all to think on that, ladies. And ladies, let me be clear. I don't give tough love and tell you that because I'm telling you what to do to win. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. You know? Victory for me is when y'all hit me back and say, Rom, I met this good guy and everything. Seriously. All right? So anyway, I'll talk to y'all. Peace and blessings.